He was a billionaire, forced to marry his own housekeeper. Not for love, not for money, but for a child who had no one left. She never asked to be his wife. She only wanted to protect a broken little boy. What started as a contract slowly turned into a sacrifice that changed their lives forever. Before the story continues, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Addie's Voice and stay with us until the end. Rain fell softly over the city of Seattle, sliding down the glass windows of a luxurious mansion standing proudly by the lake. From the outside, the house looked perfect, a symbol of success, power, and wealth. But inside there was a cold silence, as if money itself could not warm a single heart. Ethan Miller, 28 years old, stood by the window of his private study. An expensive suit still clung to his tall frame, a Swiss watch worth hundreds of thousands of dollars shining on his wrist. He was known as one of America's youngest billionaires, the CEO of a major tech company whose name frequently appeared in business magazines. But that morning his eyes were empty, not because of business, not because of stocks, but because of a 5-year-old child sleeping quietly in the guest room. The child's name was Lucas. Lucas was not Ethan's biological son, yet 6 months ago, Ethan's life had changed forever when the boy entered his home. It all began with a tragic accident. Lucas's mother, Hannah, Ethan's former lover, had died in a car crash. Before taking her final breath, Hannah left behind a handwritten message. "Please take care of Lucas. You're the only one he has left." From that day on, Ethan's perfect world collapsed. And in the middle of that chaos, there was one person who quietly became the pillar holding everything together. Her name was Emily Carter. Emily was only 26 years old. She worked as a housekeeper in Ethan's mansion, hardworking, modest, and always lowering her head when she spoke. She rarely talked, never interfered in her employer's affairs, and lived far from anything luxurious. Yet it was Emily who became the closest person to Lucas. Every morning, Emily prepared Lucas's breakfast. Every night, she read him bedtime stories. Whenever Lucas woke up from a nightmare, Emily was the first to hold him. Ethan watched all of it, from a distance, and without realizing when it happened. The once silent house slowly began to feel alive, but that fragile peace did not last long. One afternoon, Ethan received an unexpected visit from a family legal advisor and a child welfare representative. Their faces were serious, too serious. "Mr. Miller," one of them said, "legally, you are not Lucas's official guardian." Ethan fell silent, "Although you are financially capable. The court considers emotional stability and family structure. Lucas needs a mother figure and a legally recognized family." Those words struck Ethan like a hammer. A choice appeared before him, bitter, unimaginable. If Ethan wanted to keep custody of Lucas, he had to create a legal family, and quickly. And at that moment, all eyes turned to Emily. That night, Ethan called Emily into the living room. She came with a nervous expression, her hands clasped together, her work uniform still neat. "Is something wrong, sir?" she asked softly. Ethan took a deep breath. He was not a man who easily felt uneasy. But that night, words felt heavy. "I need your help," he finally said. "And this is not a normal request." Emily lifted her face, her brown eyes widening. I want to marry you." Silence filled the room. Only the ticking of the wall clock could be heard. Emily froze. "Marry me?" Her voice trembled. "Why?" Ethan turned his gaze toward Lucas's room. For him, tears immediately welled up in Emily's eyes, not from happiness, but from disbelief. She knew her place. She was just a housekeeper, and the man before her was a billionaire. Two worlds that were never meant to meet. "This will only be a marriage on paper," Ethan continued in a cold tone, as if protecting himself. "No love, no personal obligations. I'll compensate you with whatever you want." Emily lowered her head, tears falling onto the marble floor. She thought of Lucas, the little boy who called her Aunt Emily, the child who clung to her every night in fear. After a long silence, Emily slowly nodded. "If it's for Lucas, I agree." But inside Emily's heart, there was an unseen wound. And inside Ethan's heart, a crack had begun to form, without him realizing it. Honestly, in my opinion, this was the beginning of a marriage not born from love, but one that would test the true meaning of love itself. Two people from different worlds, united not by romance, but by responsibility, and a child who only wanted to feel loved. The wedding happened quickly and quietly. There was no lavish celebration, no media coverage, just a simple ceremony at a civil registry office in Seattle. witnessed by a lawyer, a judge, and Lucas, who stood between them holding Emily's hand. Emily wore a plain white dress. It wasn't her dream gown. She hadn't even chosen it herself. Ethan wore an expensive black suit, his face calm and professional, as if he were signing a business contract. When the judge said, "You may kiss the bride," Ethan simply nodded politely. There was no kiss. Lucas smiled brightly, unaware of the cold distance between the two adults standing before him. From that day on, Emily was no longer the housekeeper. She was now Mrs. Emily Miller. But the new title did not change reality. In the large mansion, Emily still woke up first every morning. She still cooked, cleaned, and made sure Lucas's needs were met. The only difference was that she now slept in a different guest room, larger, more elegant, yet it felt just as unfamiliar. Ethan kept his distance, highly professional, emotionally cold. He treated Emily with respect but without warmth. "I'll make sure all your needs are provided for," he said one evening. "And once Lucas grows up, we can discuss our separate futures." Emily simply nodded. She knew from the beginning this marriage was never about her. Days passed. Lucas began calling them Mom and Dad. Every time he did, Emily smiled while holding back tears. Ethan would always fall silent, then gently pat Lucas's head stiffly, as if afraid of getting too close. Problems began when the outside world discovered Emily's existence. One afternoon, Ethan brought Emily to a company charity event. It was the first time. Emily wore an expensive dress and stood among high society women. Whispers immediately filled the room. Is she really his wife? Wasn't she just a housekeeper? There must be some hidden reason. Emily felt those judgmental stares cut into her like knives. A woman approached, elegant, confident, Ethan's former fiancée. "I never expected your taste to change this much," she said with a thin smile. From high society to the kitchen, Emily lowered her head, her fingers trembling. Ethan stood beside her, silent. His silence hurt more than the insult itself. That night, Emily cried alone in her room. She didn't regret the marriage, but she began to understand one painful truth. She was not a chosen wife. She was only a solution. The next day, Lucas fell ill with a high fever. Emily stayed awake all night, placing cold compresses on Lucas's forehead, giving him medicine, and holding him every time his small body shivered in fear. In the morning, Ethan entered the room and saw Emily asleep on the floor beside the bed. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen. For the first time, something stirred in Ethan's chest. "You don't have to do all this alone," he said softly. Emily woke in surprise. "I'm his wife," she replied quietly. "And Lucas is my responsibility." The word wife sounded strange to Ethan. From that day on, he began noticing the small things. The way Emily always put Lucas first. The way she refused expensive jewelry and asked for donations instead. The way she never complained, even when Ethan's coldness hurt her deeply. Yet the distance between them remained. Until one night, Ethan came home early and overheard Lucas asking Emily, "Mom, does Dad hate us?" Emily paused, then smiled gently. "No, sweetheart. Dad is just learning how to love." Ethan stood behind the door, hearing everything, and for the first time he asked himself, was this marriage truly only for a child? Or was something quietly changing beyond his control? The relationship between Ethan and Emily changed slowly, almost unnoticed. Not through sweet words, not through romantic gestures, but through presence. Ethan began coming home earlier. He started joining Lucas for dinner. He chose to sit in the family room instead of isolating himself in his office. Emily noticed the change but remained silent. She didn't want to hope too much. She had reminded herself too many times that this marriage was never about love. But fate had its own way of testing everything. One night, Ethan received a call from his lawyer. "Mr. Miller." The voice on the other end sounded serious. "Lucas's biological relatives have filed for custody. They claim your marriage is not genuine and exists only as a legal formality." Ethan's world collapsed once again. The court hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. When the day arrived, the courtroom was filled with tension. On one side, the relative's lawyer presented cold facts. Emily was not the biological mother. The marriage was rushed, and Emily came from a modest background. This marriage was created for legal advantage, not for family, they argued. The judge turned to Ethan. "Do you love your wife, Mr. Miller?" The question silenced the room. Ethan looked at Emily. For the first time, he truly saw her, not as a solution, not as a housekeeper, not as an obligation, He saw someone who sacrificed her dignity, someone who endured humiliation, someone who loved a child without conditions. Ethan stood up. "I didn't marry for love," he said honestly, "but I learned how to love after I got married." Emily froze. Tears streamed down her face. Ethan continued, his voice trembling. Emily chose to stay when she could have walked away. She chose to care for Lucas without ever being asked. If that isn't love, then I don't know what love is. The judge remained silent for a long moment before striking the gavel. Full custody remains with the Miller family. Lucas ran toward Emily and hugged her tightly. "Mom!" he shouted happily. That day they went home as a family, not because of the law, but because of choice. A few weeks later, Ethan took Emily back to the same place where they had first married. This time there was no judge, no lawyer, just the two of them. "This time," Ethan said, "I want to marry you." "Because I choose you," Emily cried. Not from sadness, but because she was no longer a wife of obligation. They shared their first kiss, slow, honest, and full of feeling. Lucas laughed from a distance. The large house no longer felt cold, not because of wealth, not because of status, but because love had grown from sacrifice. In my opinion, the story I created is meant to show that true love does not always come from instant attraction, luxury, or easy choices. Sometimes love is born from responsibility, patience, and the courage to stay when life is imperfect. And often the person who loves us the most is not the one we search for, but the one who never leaves.
Welcome to ADI's Voice Channel. This channel features fictional stories, including inspirational stories, romantic stories, and emotional life stories filled with meaningful moral messages. Important notice: all stories presented in this channel are purely fictional and created for entertainment and educational purposes only. The visual images are original creations generated using AI prompts. The narration voice is produced using AI voice technology for storytelling purposes. Any resemblance to real persons or events is purely coincidental. Content purpose: entertainment, inspiration, moral lessons, and life values. Light educational storytelling. Thank you for watching and supporting ADI's Voice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy our stories.